What's good, everyone? And welcome back to the YouTube. And as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about being stuck around the wrong people and why it's holding you back, right? And the reason why I want to make this video is because this was me for a long, long time. And again, if I didn't think that this was the right thing to make, I wouldn't make it. But I genuinely do think who you hang around with is going to be a reflection on your future, or at least a big, big period of your life, right? And I always remember being with a bunch of boys. They're my mates. I'm not going to call them not my mates, but not as close to them anymore because we just had separate paths. And again, they had different ambitions and dreams to what I had. And it didn't really make much sense to sort of keep hanging around with them sort of people, um, because they didn't have the same vision as me. And it got to the point where it was kind of holding me back, and I just didn't want to live the life that they had in mind compared to the life I had in mind, right? Like for me, it was always freedom, make money, have my own business, da da da. But it took me a while to start to realize. But they were kind of just like wanting to go out partying, waiting for the next night out, and all of that, and that just wasn't me. Of course, at the time I was going out, and I'd go out and I wouldn't even drink, and that just goes to show that everybody else is drinking, I wouldn't drink because I just didn't want to be there. But the reason why I was there is because they were my friends, and realistically, I had nobody else. And tell you the truth, at the time, I just didn't really want to be that lonely guy, and didn't want to be that guy who was boring, right? So I stayed around for a bit, and as the time was going on, I knew that I kind of wasn't around the right people, and I really like these guys, and I really still do like them to this day. But I wasn't around the right people to get me where I wanted to be. So that led me to something of a lonely patch in life where I didn't really do much. I didn't really have nobody, and I was just on my own. But I knew that I had more growth that period on my own than I did than when I was with them, right? And that sounds a bit crazy to say, but however, it was a hard patch, and yeah, I'll admit it. But because I had more growth, I seen how valuable it was spending time on my own and actually liking my own company. But obviously, being on my own obviously wasn't the last play. I didn't want to be on my own. I didn't want to be lonely. So I started putting myself in circles where everybody was where I wanted to be. So they would be making money online. They'd have their own businesses, and they just had the same dreams and ambitions as me. And so I went from being around the wrong people to being on my own, but then going into rooms where I was probably the lowest earner because all of these guys earned a lot more than me, and they just all rooted for each other's success. And I feel like when you're in a small town, and sometimes some people don't like other people doing well, other people think, oh, your dreams are pretty silly and things like that. But it gets to a point where you listen to these small-minded people because it's not their fault. It's just the way we're all brought up, right? But they are crushing your dreams because they're not thinking like you. And what you got to remember, if somebody else has done what you want to do in life before, then it's possible for you to do it. Like, why is it not possible for you to do it, right? So I always knew that I was kind of rooting for success, and I'm still on the way up now. Um, and yeah, so going back to what I was talking about, when I was with these high level guys, and these guys who actually cared about their future, these guys who wanted the same future, they were just all really ambitious. They all rooted for each other's success, like I mentioned, and it was crazy going from one circle where everybody was like against each other and didn't want to see each other succeed to go into a group where everybody had more than the last group I was in, but they all wanted each other to have even more. And when you work that out, it doesn't really make much sense. But that's what it goes to show is like high level people care about other people, and other people in life doesn't. It just goes to show that they don't actually care about each other's success. You just bother with them. You just hang around with them. The chances are you probably was in school with them, and that's why you still bother with them now. But for me now, I don't bother with anybody who I went to school with. There's not a single person who I actually hang about with who I went to school with, and everybody who I've met now is literally from all of my friends now, and people I'm most close with now is everybody from the online space who I probably didn't know this time last year. And it's crazy because I feel like the biggest lesson was I had to make myself worthy enough to connect with these guys before I could connect with them. So I knew that like 3 4 month period of loneliness and the time on my own was just me developing myself into that person who could go in these rooms, who could connect with these people, and the people would want to connect with me. Because end of the day, I can't go from bothering with people who want to go out partying every weekend to next minute I'm in a room with a bunch of people who make 10, 20, 30K a month online. Like, there was obviously going to be a phase where something had to develop and become that guy who was not worthy enough, because these guys don't look down on people, but become that guy who sort of they want to connect with. Because at the end of the day, why would somebody who's a high level man in life and somebody who's making a lot of money want to connect with somebody who's not in a bad way, but you've still got to be the guy who people want to connect with rather than you wanting to go out and look for it, right? So there's not really a lot more to cover. But one thing I would say is, like, if you genuinely do feel like your friendship group right now is holding you back, and you have bigger dreams and ambitions, or you're doing things just because they're doing it, but you don't actually want to do it, like, it's gonna be hard. But sometimes you just gotta leave them, and you just gotta, like, in the nicest way possible. Like, it's not a bad thing to outgrow your old circle, because that's when bigger things come in life. You don't want to look back in 10 years' time and think, oh, if I'd done that, or if I stopped born with these people all these years ago, I'd be so much further ahead in life than I already am now, because you're just living with regret, and you don't want to live with that regret. So if worst comes to worst, like, if that if that, like, development doesn't really go to plan for you, like, your friends are not going to say no to you to go hang around with them again anyway, right? But moral of the story is, don't settle for less. And if people around you, if you feel like the people around you are pulling you back from success, or pulling you back from the life you do want to live, the chances are they probably are, because that feeling is there for a reason. And that feeling doesn't just come to you because it might be happening, it's actually happening. So take the risk, go through the stage, try it out. You might not like it, but if you don't like it, you go back. If you do like it, then again, you're only going to be better off, right? For me, um, it ended up being the better option. Um, However, I do still talk to these guys now and again now, but not all the time. But the new guys, I'm sort of like my new group now. Like, we're all ambitious. We all wake up every morning on a mission to be successful. All wake up every morning to get the money and provide for family and things like that. We don't want to go out every weekend. We don't want to look when the next event is and things like that. None of us are even interested in all that. We all just on the same mission. And if for me, for example, I always had these dreams when I was younger, but the people I was with didn't. So that's why it didn't really make sense to, right? If your dreams and ambition is to go out party in a club every weekend and your friends want to do that, then yeah, you're in the right circle. But if you do feel like your dreams and ambition is somewhere else, please just go around other people who are in the same mindset and actually want the same mission as you, because it will help in your journey. And the chances are they've been in your position before and they've done it. Because end of the day, it's normal to be that way. You want to go out partying, want to go out clubbing, because that's the way we was all brought up. It's not normal, but that's how we're brought up, so we feel like it's normal. So do not be afraid to take other risks in life, especially if you're young as well. Like, you're probably 18 to 23, 24, probably watching this right now. If you're young, just go and do whatever you want, because, like I always say, if your biggest risk, if you fail at the biggest risk you want to take, and you end up in the same position as you are right now, you haven't failed. You've just gone back in the same position. You could just start again. You've got another chance. You're young. Don't worry about things, and just do what you think is best for you. But yeah, um, that's it. That's a wrap for the video. I do appreciate you guys watching. And yeah, I feel like these videos are pretty good. Just raw talking heads into the camera and just having a general chat. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. If you do want to connect with me, my Instagram will be down below in the description. And see you in the next one.